Hello everyone, welcome to my video. In this video, I'm going to talk about for loop in Python. First, let me show you a sample expression of for loop in Python coding. So here we start with the word for, and we say for item in a variable. And that variable can be a list, dictionary, tuple, or set. So basically, we use for loop to go through each item inside that variable. And you may wonder why we want to do that. Well, basically, we want to reduce redundancy in executing orders. If we can go through each item inside the list, then basically we may apply the same operation to every single item inside the list, or dictionary, or set, or tuple. So we can use a few lines of coding to complete really complex tasks. So let's see an example here. Imagine we have a sample Excel file here. And this file has 4 columns and 5 rows. And if we want to read this Excel file column by column, we can start with the age column. And we can use a list to represent the values of that age column. So this list has 4 items inside, and each item is separated by comma. We have 20, 18, refuse to answer, and 40. And we assign the whole list on the right-hand side to the variable called age on the left-hand side. So in this way, we can represent the age column with a list. And if we want to do some operation with these values inside the age column, we can use for loop to go through all the items inside this age list and do some operations. So let's see how we can do it in Python coding. So here is our age variable. So basically we can say for item in age. If we want to print out each item, we can say print item, and here print. Basically you have to indent it. But if you're using this Python editor, Google Colab, after you type for item in age and column, you just hit enter button, and then editor will automatically adjust the space for you, so you don't have to worry. You can just start typing here. So you need to type print item because you say for item in age, this list variable, and print out each item. So let's run this for loop here. You can see each item inside this list variable has been printed out. 20, 18, refuse to answer, 40. So basically, we can apply the same print function to every single item inside this age variable. We can do something else. We can type out the type of each item inside that variable. So here you can see the first item is an integer. The second item, 18, is an integer also. The third item is a string value. And the fourth item is an integer. So here's how we can apply the same print function to every single item. So let's do something now. So let's say for item in age, what we want to do is that we want to convert each item into a string value. Okay, so we create a string function and we put item inside the parentheses. So it becomes string item. And we want to use the whole string item, and we want to assign this one to the existing variable item, and to basically to update the value of every single item inside the age variable. So we convert each item into a string value, and then we assign this string value back to each item, right, to update it. And then we can print out each item. So let's do it. So you can see that when we print out each item, it seems that there is no change. However, if we print out the type of each item, you can see the type of each item becomes a string. So 20 is no longer the number 20. It's a string value of 20. 18 is also no longer a number. It's a string value of 18. So in this way, we can apply the same operation to every single item inside that age variable. And we can do something else. So imagine you have an age variable, that is a list, and you want to create another variable called age new, and this is a new variable, and we actually assign a vacant list to this new variable called age new. So what you can do is that if I want to go through every single item inside my age variable, and then I can add my items from the age variable to this new vacant list. So let's try it. So let's say for item in age, what we want to do is that so if you remember, if we want to add any item to a list variable, we can use append function to append an item to a list. So this item refers to the item inside each refers to each item inside this age variable. So for item in age, we append each item. And after you have run the whole for loop, then you're gonna jump out of the for loop, and then you can print the age new variable. And you can notice that the print function here is not indented because print age new, this line of coding, is not part of the for loop coding. What we are doing here is that we want Python to go through every single item inside this age variable, and once Python goes through every single item, then append each item to this age underscore new variable. And after it's done with the for loop, after Python goes through every single item there and append it to age underscore new, after we're done with the for loop, and then we jump out of the for loop and we print out the age underscore new, and then we're going to see the age underscore new has been updated, right? So that's how we can use for loop to do some operation with every single item inside age. And some of you may have questions, do we have to use this expression to do the for loop? Well, for this part, item, you can name it any way you want it to be. My habit is that I just want to use item to stand for every single element inside this variable. You can also say, if you want to name it element, you can do that. But no matter what name you give it to, you have to be consistent. If you say for element in age, then you have to say age underscore new, append element this time, because this element refers to the element here. And this element here refers to every single element inside age, okay? And then you can print out age underscore new. It's going to be the same output. Okay, so let's move on. Imagine we have the same Excel file, right? And we want to use another way to represent this Excel file. We can do row by row. So let's start with the first content row. That is this 20, economics, San Diego, and 50. We know that each row stands for each person's information. So what we can do is that we can use a dictionary here, and we can assign this dictionary to this variable called person underscore 1. This is a dictionary because it has curly brackets for the outsider, and we have 4 different items, and each item is separated by comma, and each item is a pair of key and its value. So the first item is a pair of key and its value, which is age and 20, and the second item is major and economics, this pair. So the whole dictionary can represent the first row, which stands for a person. So let's see what kind of operations we can do with this row using the for loop here. So this is our person underscore 1 variable, which is a dictionary variable. And first, we can print out this part, a highlighted part. This is something we want to print out. We use person_1 and use items, this function. This function will help us to generate a list of tuples. So basically, we want to get a list of tuples based on person_1. Let's see what it looks like. So it looks like this. This is the part. You can see this is a list, but inside the list, we have different items, and each item is separated by a comma. And each item is a tuple, and each tuple has two values inside. So we basically can transform a dictionary into a list of tuples and to represent the same person's information. So now what we're going to do is that based on this list of tuples, that is person_1 dot items, that function, and we can go through this list of tuples. But here again, because this list of tuples, for each item, it's actually a tuple. And each tuple has basically two values, right? So then when we write our for loop here, we're just going to say for k, comma, v. K, comma, v stands for the k value here and v value here. So we can say for k, comma, v in person_1 dot items. This whole part is actually referring to this one here. So if we say for kv and then we want to print out k and v, we can just say print. Then inside the parentheses, we put k, comma, v, so each item is separated by a comma. Then we can run it. And you can see that first, the persons_1 dot items has been printed out like this. And then after we run the for loop and we print out each k and v as a pair, age 20, major economics, location San Diego, income 50. Okay, so let's do something. If you want to, do some operation with the printout output, what you can do is that, let me just add something here, add a column. So basically I'm saying that print the k, so basically I'm saying that for this whole variable, go through each item inside, because I know each item is a tuple of two values. So I say for k and v, each pair, inside this whole variable, print k and comma, and add this column, and comma, and print out the v value. So let's do it. So now you can see that I have the k value, age, and separated by column, and then 20, and I have the second pair, major, column, economics. So you can do more operation with the for loop and just play with it. You can also only print out each k for each item. So let's say go through k and v tuple inside this whole variable and just print out k. So only age, major, location, income are printed out. So you can also say let's print out only v, and you can only get the values of each item inside this variable. So you can see you have 20 in economics and San Diego and 50. So that's how you can use the for loop. We also can represent the same Excel file. Here, like just now we talked about, we can use a list of tuples to represent each row. So in other words, we're using a list of tuples to represent each person's information. So given a list of tuples, if we look inside, this is a tuple here. And you may wonder, can we go through each item inside a tuple? So here, let me try it. So if we assign a tuple of two values to a variable called information, And then we say for item in information. Then can we print out each item here? Let's try it. You can see, yes, we can. We can also go through every single item inside this information variable. And then we can print out each item one by one. Then we get age and 20. So let's see that whether we can do any operations there. So let's see whether we can do string item. So transform each item into a string value. We create a string value here and replace this string value and assign the string value to each item to update it so that each item becomes a string value. And then we print out each item again. Here we get age and 20. It says that there is no change, but if I print out the type of each item, you can see that both values will be string values because we have already used the string value to update an existing variable item here. So next, imagine for this Excel file, we can actually create a set using curly brackets to show people how many columns we have and what are the unique columns that we have. Remember that for any single set, you cannot have duplicate values inside. So when you are using set, basically you are telling people what are the unique values there. So let's see whether we can go through each item inside a set. So here I have my columns variable, which is a set. Inside the set, I have 4 items, and each of them is separated by a comma. So I can say for item in columns, print out items, print out item. So let's see what's going to be printed out. Income, major, age, location. And it's interesting to see that although each item has been printed out, but the order of these items are not the same as the time when they were shown inside the variable columns. See, the first item is age, but when you print it out, age is number 3, is not the first one. The first one is income. So the order of output is not the same as the order of those items inside the original variable. But when you go through when you go through each item inside a tuple and inside a dictionary and inside a list, basically the order is going to be the same. So that's something interesting to know.